one very, very bright guy said to me, Richard, somewhere in your brain there is a faucet that is dripping either too slowly or too quickly, and we can help you.
Interesting way to put it.
And
Very.
I can't tell you the relief of guilt that swept away from me, because it wasn't me, it was the structure. It wasn't me, my soul, my Richard. It was the structure of my body.
Yep.
And that plus the line that Randy Newman wrote, it takes a whole lot of medicine for me to pretend that I'm somebody else. And what that means really is, when I feel terrible, awful, shitty, I'll do anything, including feeling worse, as long as the worse is the drug and not me. You know, when people say, I looked up at the stars and I realized how small I was. Well, when I looked up at the stars, I realized how big I was. And I knew that within me was a universe, an enormous, vast territory that was ultimately put together as Richard. And I wanted to get to know my brain, my soul, my inner life. I was able to turn every bad thing into a good thing. When I was not a good academic student, I became the best glib talker in class. And they couldn't fail me because I was too vivid. And then when I found my passion, which was theater and acting, I blew everyone off the table and I also knew, and this was known to me as a part of an illness, I was absolutely certain, 100% certain of my success when I was 9 years old.
Interesting.
And no, I never entertained any doubt. And I knew, as strong as that made me, it was not normal. I began to suspect that I was being set up by life or by the gods or something, because nothing bad ever happened to me. Or if it did, I turned it into a good thing. And I really began to get terrified that I was being set up. And I was, because I had no coping mechanism for anything negative. And then one day, the girl I loved didn't love me. And I lost her. And the loss was so unbelievably profound that I fell in love with loss. I was just a little bug. And that's when I started therapy. The only other time was many years later when I was married and had children and my marriage ended. And when my marriage ended and my children were raised without me, I actually shrunk down to the size of about a spider.
Oh boy.
And I was always saying to doctors, I'm ready to die. I've done everything I'm supposed to.
So it was that bad? You just thought life wasn't worth living? And
I just thought, well, I've done everything I want to do, so if someone hits me in a car accident, it'd be okay. And my daughter, who is a formidable person, when she heard me say, not about me, but about suicide, that thought, she became so grim and angry that I thought, oh shit, I'll never be able to pull this off, or else I'll just piss my daughter off too much. And so I didn't, but I might have. And I said to my doctor one day how I was ready to die, and I hadn't, who cared? And I heard a little voice inside my head that said, Richard, they're going to be studying your work in 200 years. So how bad can it be? And I remember that voice as being very far away, so I could hardly hear it, but it was saying, you're wrong, you're nuts, hold on to me. And I did, and I got back. I had been talking to doctors about medication since I was 19 because I had been medicating myself I didn't know that term. I've been taking drugs since I was 14.
Well, you described a while ago how you would do that in order to calm yourself down.
Right.
So you were medicating yourself.
Right, but I didn't use that term. And then one day a doctor really explained why I was doing what I was doing with what drugs. And he made me understand. I have a protocol of drugs that I take, and I never stray. I do not go off my meds. I have friends who've gone off their meds and ended up in Manager. You know, I don't want that to happen to me. So I've always wanted to live on the planet Earth with my feet on the ground, a good father, a good husband, a good actor, a good activist, whatever. What was preventing me from all of that was my own inability to find the right protocol of medication. I was born with certain problems, and certain drugs helped me become...
Steady out. Yep.
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 I've never understood why people who have what I have, or something worse, could not find the diamond in the soil. Because in a manic state, you are always in a incandescent ecstasy of creation. And it's not just bull. Carrie Fisher says in her show about herself, you know you're a manic depressive when the ideas that you have are great because you're having them. It's like, if you can understand that nobody's perfect, and that's not just a phrase, you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. And if I'm not perfect, that means I'm improvable. And I'm gonna go to someone who can help me get there. When you're dark, when you're in the midst of the darkness of depression, you feel like there's nobody there and there's no hand reaching out to you. And the thing is, take it on faith. The same faith that's in Indiana Jones and the Silver Chalice, whatever it's called, where he stepped out on a bridge that he couldn't see. That's depression. When you step out on a bridge you can't see and feel it, you'll know that it's there, and you don't have any fear that you're just gonna keep falling.
And then you reach out and you get the help.